In this video, we're going to cover the final part of the key area 3 gene expression by looking at what happens to the polypeptide once they leave the ribosome. So remember, during translation, the tRNAs bring in all the individual amino acids, join them together with peptide bonds to form the polypeptides. But to get it into our final protein, once that polypeptide leaves the ribosome, it can then start to fold and form these three-dimensional shapes that give the protein its final structure. So peptide bonds between the individual amino acids, but what keeps the 3D shape in place, keeps these folds intact, for example, are hydrogen bonds. So there are other types of chemical bonds and interactions in this 3D shape of the protein, but the most important one to remember for the higher are the hydrogen bonds. So this final shape of the protein is incredibly important as it's shape which determines how they function. We see that most readily when we look at enzymes. Enzymes don't have the correctly shaped active site, can't interact with their substrate, therefore they can't perform their function of catalysing chemical reactions. So this will be true of all the different proteins. If they have the right shape, that's what allows them to do their job. So we started with our genetic code in our DNA molecule, a sequence of bases, and we used that to build these proteins. And these proteins will interact with environmental factors, and that's what makes up all the different characteristics, the different features that make you you. So these characteristics, we call those phenotypes, things like hair colour, blood groups, all down to the function of the proteins that was determined by the genetic code. So let's try it past paper question. So the diagram shows you part of a protein molecule, and you're asked which line in the table describes correctly the bonds X and Y. So pause the video, select your answer, hit play when you want to reveal the correct answer. So the answer for this one is C. Bond X we can see are between the amino acids, or what holding the amino acids in the protein together, so they must be peptide bonds, with bonds Y being between the folds of the protein, so they must be the hydrogen bonds. So we've now covered everything from key area 3 gene expression. If you've still got any questions, anything you're not sure of, please feel free to leave any comments.